The first thing we're going to do today is make a symmetrical shape for our vase. We're going to do that by using a piece of thin newsprint and folding it in half. And then we're going to draw half of a vase shape starting on the side with the fold. So I'm going to try to use as much of the paper as I can. And you can choose what vase shape you want, of course. Now, once you're happy with your shape, while it is still folded, we are going to cut it out. And if I cut it while it is still folded like this, when I open it up, I'll have a vase shape that is the same on both sides. I'm now going to trace my vase shape onto my thicker white paper and draw my design. Once you have your design sketched out, you're going to trace over it dark with pencil. So I kind of drew lightly at first so that I could erase anything that I didn't like if I needed to. But now that I like my design and I know where everything's going to go, I'm going to trace over it to get all my lines nice and dark. Once you've darkened up all your lines, you are going to get a thin piece of styrofoam. This is going to be your print plate. Now we're going to very carefully transfer the image from our drawing onto the print plate so that we can carve into it. So to do this, I'm going to flip my drawing on top of the styrofoam. And you have to be careful when you're doing this that you don't press into the styrofoam hard with your pencil or fingernail. You don't want to bend it because it is very fragile and it will break and be damaged easily. So I'm just going to put my paper on top. And now I'm going to take my pencil and laying my pencil on its side, I'm going to color over my design. And this is pressing that dark pencil lead on the front onto the styrofoam. So don't do it with the point of your pencil. That might poke through the paper and hurt your styrofoam. We're just using the edge. So we're pressing hard all over the back of our design. As you're doing this step, make sure that you don't move your paper around on the styrofoam because of course that will mess up your design on the other side. Now, if you've done it hard enough and carefully enough, when you lift it, it should give you a really light outline of your design. Now be careful not to rub it off because these light guidelines are going to help us in the next step of carving into the styrofoam. So to do this step, we're going to be using a ballpoint pen and we're just going to very carefully press just a little bit hard as we're tracing over these lines. So I'm doing the outline of my vase, and I'm doing all of my decorations on the inside. Now you might notice I'm kind of going back and forth over my lines a little bit because I'm not only drawing my design, I'm carving. I'm pushing down into the styrofoam so that when I rub my finger over it, I can feel an indentation. So I'm just going to keep on going until all of my lines are outlined. And keep in mind, even if you have a pen that isn't writing very well, like this one, doesn't seem to have any ink, as long as it's pressing into the styrofoam, that's all that matters. And that is easy to see, the indentation. Once you start working, you can tell if you're pressing hard enough. So even if there's no ink in the pen, that's totally fine. You can just carve with it the same way. When you're done with this step, you should be able to feel the indentation of every single one of your lines to make sure that they all show up on your print. Your print plate might get a little smudged as you work, that's okay. And sometimes I did have to look at my drawing as I was carving, just in case some of my guidelines got rubbed off. And of course, if not every line and shape is exactly like your sketch, that's okay. Once you can feel all of your lines, your print plate will be ready to print.